Alfonso Cahero, A Journey into Finance History, Chapter 34, Belle Époque Economic Prosperity, Late 19th to Early 20th Century. In the late 19th century, Europe stood at the threshold of a new age, a period of extraordinary prosperity and cultural flourishing known as the Belle Époque. It was a time when the continent basked in the glow of newfound wealth and optimism, driven by industrialization, technological innovation, and colonial expansion. As the Industrial Revolution swept across Europe, factories sprang up like mushrooms, transforming the landscape and the way people worked. Steam power and electricity-powered machines, accelerating production and driving economic growth to unprecedented levels. From textiles to steel, coal to chemicals, industries boomed, creating vast fortunes for entrepreneurs and jobs for millions of workers. The rise of industry was the heartbeat of the Belle Époque. Factories belched smoke into the sky, and railways crisscrossed the continent, connecting markets and people like never before. Innovations like the Bessemer process for steelmaking and the assembly line revolutionized production, making goods cheaper and more accessible to the masses. Cities swelled with migrants from the countryside, drawn by the promise of steady work and a better life. With the mechanization of agriculture, fewer hands were needed to work the land, freeing up labor for the burgeoning factories. Meanwhile, advances in transportation, such as the steamship and the railroad, facilitated the movement of goods, capital, and people across borders. Europe became the workshop of the world, exporting its products to every corner of the globe. As European powers vied for dominance, they carved up the world into colonies and spheres of influence, bringing vast territories and untold riches under their control. The sun never set on the British Empire, while France, Germany, and others scrambled to establish their own colonial empires. Africa, Asia, and the Americas became battlegrounds for imperial ambitions, with resources like rubber, cotton, and minerals flowing back to Europe in abundance. Colonialism brought immense wealth to Europe, financing grand projects like the Suez Canal and the transcontinental railways. It also brought cultural exchange, as European ideas, technologies, and goods spread around the world. But it came at a cost, as indigenous peoples were subjugated, lands were exploited, and conflicts erupted over control of lucrative territories. With the rise of industry and the expansion of the middle class, a new culture of consumerism took hold. Department stores like Le Bon Marché in Paris and Harrods in London offered an astonishing array of goods, from clothing and cosmetics to furniture and fine china. Shopping became a leisure activity, and advertisements beckoned consumers with promises of luxury, convenience, and status. The advent of mass production made goods more affordable, allowing ordinary people to enjoy the trappings of wealth once reserved for the elite. Ready-made clothing, canned food, and household appliances transformed everyday life, freeing women from hours of drudgery and enabling families to enjoy greater comfort and convenience. The streets were alive with the hustle and bustle of commerce, as people flocked to theaters, cafes, and restaurants, eager to partake in the pleasures of urban life. Nowhere was the spirit of the Belle Époque more palpable than in Paris, the cultural capital of Europe. The city teemed with life, its boulevards lined with elegant shops, cafes, and theaters. Artists and intellectuals flocked to Montmartre, drawn by the promise of inspiration and camaraderie. The Moulin Rouge and the Folies Bergère dazzled audiences with their extravagant cabaret shows, while the Exposition Universelle showcased the latest marvels of technology and design. Paris was a magnet for creative minds, from painters like Claude Monet and Pierre-Auguste Renoir to writers like Émile Zola and Marcel Proust. The Impressionist movement captured the fleeting beauty of modern life, while Art Nouveau celebrated nature and sensuality in architecture and design. The Eiffel Tower, a symbol of progress and modernity, towered over the city, its iron lattice gleaming in the sun. The Great Exhibition of 1851, held in London's Crystal Palace, marked the beginning of the Belle Époque. Organized by Prince Albert and the Royal Society of Arts, the exhibition showcased the wonders of industry and technology from around the world. Millions flocked to see the exhibits, marveling at the ingenuity of the age and the promise of a brighter future. The centerpiece of the exhibition was the Crystal Palace itself, a marvel of glass and iron designed by Joseph Paxton. Inside, visitors found displays of machinery, textiles, and inventions from every corner of the globe. The exhibition was a triumph of international cooperation and innovation, showcasing the best that humanity had to offer. The construction of the Panama Canal was one of the greatest engineering feats of the Belle Époque. The canal, which connected the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, revolutionized global trade and transportation, cutting thousands of miles and weeks of travel time off shipping routes. It was a project of monumental scale and ambition, spanning decades and costing thousands of lives. The idea of a canal across the Isthmus of Panama had been dreamed of for centuries, but it was not until the late 19th century that technology caught up with ambition. French engineer Ferdinand de Lesseps attempted to build the canal in the 1880s, but ultimately failed due to technical challenges and financial mismanagement. It was left to the Americans, under the leadership of President Theodore Roosevelt, to complete the project in 1914. The Panama Canal transformed global commerce, allowing ships to bypass the treacherous waters of Cape Horn and the long journey around South America. It opened up new markets and opportunities for trade, linking the economies of the Atlantic and Pacific coasts and cementing America's role as a global superpower. The Trans-Siberian Railway was another monumental project of the Belle Époque, connecting European Russia with the Far East and opening up vast new territories for development. Stretching over 5,000 miles from Moscow to Vladivostok, it was the longest railway in the world and a testament to human ingenuity and ambition. Construction of the railway began in 1891 under the direction of Tsar Alexander III and was completed in 1916, just in time for the outbreak of World War I. It was a Herculean task, requiring the labor of tens of thousands of workers and the overcoming of immense geographical obstacles, from dense forests to frozen tundra. The Trans-Siberian Railway transformed Siberia from a remote backwater into a vital artery of the Russian Empire, facilitating the transport of goods, people, and ideas across vast distances. It also played a crucial role in the economic development of the region, opening up new markets for Siberian products such as timber, furs, and minerals. While Europe was the epicenter of the Belle Époque, America was not far behind in terms of economic prosperity and cultural dynamism. The United States experienced rapid industrialization and urbanization during this period, fueled by waves of immigration and the expansion of the frontier. San Francisco boomed, their skylines dotted with skyscrapers, and their streets thronged with immigrants seeking opportunity. The invention of the telephone, the automobile, and other modern conveniences transformed everyday life, while the rise of mass media and popular entertainment brought people together as never before. America's economy grew by leaps and bounds, driven by industries like steel, oil, and railroads. Tycoons like Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, and J.P. Morgan amassed vast fortunes, shaping the course of the nation's history and culture. Meanwhile, waves of reform swept the country, from the progressive movement to the fight for women's suffrage, as Americans grappled with the social and economic challenges of the modern age. The Belle Époque reached its zenith in the 1920s, a decade of excess, innovation, and cultural upheaval. Known as the Roaring Twenties, it was a time of jazz, flappers, and speakeasies, when prohibition fueled the rise of organized crime and the stock market soared to dizzying heights. The 1920s saw the culmination of decades of technological progress, with the widespread adoption of electricity, automobiles, and home appliances. Mass production and consumerism reached new heights, as Americans embraced the latest fashions, gadgets, and lifestyles. The era of the new woman dawned, as women asserted their independence and challenged traditional gender roles. But beneath the surface, glamour lay deep social divisions and economic inequalities. The prosperity of the Roaring Twenties was built on shaky foundations, and the excesses of the era would come crashing down with the onset of the Great Depression. Yet for a brief moment, the Belle Époque shimmered with promise, a glittering mirage of progress and possibility in an uncertain world. The legacy of the Belle Époque endures to this day, shaping the modern world in profound ways. The period saw the birth of many of the institutions and technologies that define our lives, from the modern corporation to the telephone, the automobile, to the cinema.